Hey guys, WeQuilt Studio here, and I am going to try to make this a quick video on how I do the blanket stitch on my quilts. And these are two different versions of the blanket stitch. You might be able to see that, if I could get it in the camera right. This one is just the blanket stitch, and then this one is the blanket stitch, but then it has a straight stitch above it. I'm kind of calling that my victory lap, because I always wondered if by doing just the blanket stitch, is it going to be strong enough, and so on. I always wondered about that. But I've had people wash my quilts, and I've washed them, and it seems to hold up well. I do tighten my tension from 4 to 5 when doing the blanket stitch. And here's what it looks like on the back. And I purposely made this formula so that the blanket stitch is on the backing and not on the binding, because it's too hard to get it perfect, and then it would look bad if it weren't perfect in some spots. So it's about a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the binding, so you can kind of see it goes up and then over, up. So, and it'd be best to match your bobbin thread with your bobbin thread on your backing, whatever color your backing is. Now here's the one with the victory lap, and I just think it looks so good, especially on the back, because it almost makes it look like it's just a border all the way around. So I zoom out, you can kind of see it looks like it was meant to be there. It's just really pretty. And I wrote a little note on this one. Cut 2.5 inch strips. This is for all of them. Stitch to back, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Blanket stitch on the front. The settings for the blanket stitch are stitch width 3.0 mils. Stitch length is 1.8, and this one takes 3 stitches. This is a Janome MC 4900 Quilter's edition, and it doesn't have a lot of choices as far as the blanket stitch, which I don't know why they call it the Quilter's edition, but there's 3 stitches and then the swing over, and so the stitch length on each of those 3 stitches is 1.8. So basically the stitches, it goes forward, forward, forward. Those are your 3 stitches at 1.8, and then it swings over at 3.0. And then the victory lap, I'm using the bi-level foot. So for this one, I'm using my zipper foot, and I'll show you that. But for the victory lap, I'm using this bi-level foot that I ordered. It's like an aftermarket one, but they all look the same. It's a left bi-level foot, and stitch width on that is 2.0. I just made it so that I moved the needle. My machine is 7 mils. But I just made this so that I moved the needle so that it's not, the victory lap is not right on top. As you can see it better on the front. The victory lap is not touching the blanket stitch. It's like 1/8 of an inch away from it. Because again, that would look bad if you were off, and it just looks better. You have more grace. And then I hand stitched the corners, and I've done that several different ways. This one here, I believe this thread is 50 weight thread, but I believe this one is Tex 30. It's Omni Tex 30. And on this one, I believe I did the corners where the thread was doubled up, both, you know, like hand sewed it with the double thread. But on, no, wait, I can't remember now, sorry. But on one of them I used just a single thread, and I didn't like that for the corners. I felt it's not as secure, and I used like a 50 weight single thread. And I actually let that single thread be the bobbin thread of when I start, and I'll show you what I mean by that. When I start a corner, when I'm first doing my first step of stitching the back at a 1/4 inch seam. I'm not going to do it that way anymore because I'd rather just do my corners separate with a brand new, you know, length of thread, so I could slip the needle up into the corner here and then just stitch down, you know, with a hidden, I forgot what that stitch is called, ladder stitch, I believe. So, and then I would end down here, do a couple back stitches with my needle, and then bring it to the back and make a knot, and then knot and bury on the back. So that's how I'm going to do this video. So I'm going to try to make it quick, and it's not going to be easy because, you know, this is so short. So when I do my connecting at the point when you connect the two ends of it's not going to be easy. But we're just going to go for it. So I'm going to just, so these are my strips. You stitch to the back. I always make that mistake. And I'm going to start stitching way down at the bottom. And that's because I need a lot of leeway to connect my two strips. And I'm going to end this when I come all the way around, like way here. So it's going to be real close to the corner. But normally I would start in, you know, not this close to the corner, maybe like this far from the corner, something like that, you know, from here to here. So, and I've got my 1/4 inch foot on, and I've got, I'm going to use all Tex 30 Omni thread in top and bottom for everything. This time I want to be consistent. Tex 30 is equivalent to a weight of 35. So it's a little, you know, it's a little bit heavier. It's like long arm thread. So we'll just go in, and like I said, I'm going to be real close to the corner so I have enough room for the connecting. And it's just a plain 1/4 inch stitch. And I'm hoping my hand's not in the way. I'm going to zoom in for this. Okay. Hopefully you got a good view. So I'm going to do a needle down, and I'm going to do 1 stitch forward, 2 stitches back. So whatever, 1, 2, whatever I go forward, I go 1 more stitch back, because it just makes a better lock. And then I'm going to go forward. I'm not going to go a 1/4 inch from the edge. I'm just going to use a hair clip because I like these. And I'm just going to kind of put it there. And there's a marking on your foot that shows you where the edge of the fabric should land, and then you'll be a 1/4 inch away. You know, you'll leave a 1/4 inch here. I'm not going to go that far. And I'll show you how far I'll go. First I'll do it. So I'm going to stitch. Okay. This line tells you, this line right here, tells you when the needle is a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the fabric. But so if I were to go 1 more stitch, this paper clip would be, and I should just put a pin in there instead, but it would be like here, right level with that. Wait for it to focus. It would be right level with that line. But I'm stopping with it kind of like an 1/8 inch before that line, and even a 1/4 inch. It just gives you more of a leeway, you know, it just helps. And so, because when you fold this back, to do your mitered corner, if you overshoot this by just a hair, you can't get your corner right. So that's the way I've been doing it, and I like it so much better. So I stopped there, and I'm going to back stitch 1, 2, 3, and then I'll just go 1, 2. Okay, so 3 and 2. It's kind of the opposite of what I started, and I'll just cut that and that, fold it over so that you have a 45 here, but don't crease it yet. Just kind of see if you know, if everything's good, and this is kind of straight, and this is down at the point, which I see it's not, and then, you know, you might have to adjust that a little, and trying to get my hand out of the way. So this line here would be straight. If this were folded down. Maybe I'll zoom out because I'm having a hard time getting this all in. So this line is straight, and this is a 45, but don't crease this. And then just kind of have your finger here and then test it and see. I can bring it down now. Test it and see if it looks good. Now mine looks good, but I can see I have some overlap here. I could see it's not even. And so to me, that just means that my corner down here, there's something wrong with it. So you can kind of see I don't have it all the way folded down. So let me bring that down to the corner, and then I'll try it again. And I have all those tools and everything, but they're a pain. I'd rather do it. And if you have, let's try, and it looks like I have it. There's no overlap. But if you have something sticking out up here, okay, so that just means that your 45, instead of it being a 45, it was like that more or something. Or it could have been like that, you know. So you have to just see which side is not level. But mine looks okay, so now I can kind of crease it, and it's level down here somewhat. Okay, I think I'm overlapping again. It's not bad. I'm gonna go with it. So I'm just gonna hold it, and I'm gonna slide it back in. You could clip it or pin it if you want, but I'm gonna take something thick, like, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, something you made for the back, and put it in the back. Slide this in, and then here's where I put it so that, again, on that guide, okay, this guide back here tells me that the edge of my fabric is 1/4 inch away from the needle. But I don't want to put the fabric that far back. Let me get it to focus again. So I'm putting the fabric halfway between this line and the needle line. So you can see the fabric is kind of halfway. So I'll go needle down, and I've got my threads over here. They're already under and everything's holding it down. And I'll go 1 stitch forward, and then I'll go probably about 3 stitches back until I get to the edge of this. So I'm going back 1, 2, 3, and then I'll just go forward. I'll make sure this is still, and I have a knee lift, but I'll bump the camera if I use it. So I'll just use my foot or my presser foot lever. And so I'm going to go forward, and I'll do every corner like that. So I'm just going to kind of whiz through it after this, because I'm trying not to make this a long video. One, two, three, 1, 2. Okay, and I'll bring my threads over here, and then, oh, I think I'm zoomed out, but that's okay. So I'm just going to kind of get that down by the corner. Try to make that level. Oops, I'm not supposed to press on that yet. Feel like, yeah, my corner, I'm not down to the corner. Okay, let's try that. So I am going to have to crease it because I'm trying to hurry. Because this fabric was starched before I cut it, so that looks pretty good. I saw a video where somebody says you want overhang. No, you don't. You don't want overhang, because then your corners won't be flat. So I feel like that one's overhanging a little too much, but I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to put this in the back and put that halfway, needle down, go 1 forward, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it is about 4. I kind of overdid that. And when I get it like up on the machine and close to the needle, that's when I'll get my measurer out to measure. I don't need to do it yet. Okay, I'll do it right about now. I should get a longer one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, bring my thread over. And I have to remember to stop right here, so I'm going to put a pin there, because I got to stop way over here. Now after I do this corner, I'll zoom in. So I'll do this one. So once you get it in the point down there, then you can kind of pivot it around to make sure it's straight up there. I don't know if I did that one right. Yeah, that's not right. So it looks like I am creasing it. I'm trying so hard not to get in the camera. It does work better when your thumb is over here on the top of this binding. Then it works better. And that way I'm still not in the camera view. So that looks good. Got my stuff out of the way. And grab this, put this behind, pull that thread. I feel like this is not level. No, it's not. Okay. And it's still not sticking out, so that's good. Okay. Needle down. And I'll try and zoom in now. I just did needle down. Okay, so I'll go 1 stitch forward and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring that in and I'll go 4. Sometimes, I have to remember to stop there. Sometimes you can just use your fingernail if you have long nails and just kind of with the edge. Something really thin works. Like I have all these things here. I have a ton of them. I've also got, you know, this, and I thought, oh, I could just use that and put it here and gauge it using that, but then it gets in the way. And I have several of these, you know, but you'd have to hold it closed. You don't have to hold it closed. I guess this would work okay. It's not as clunky. Yeah, that would work. That would work. So it's actually easier to hold than the clip. So I'm going to go one more. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, let me put the clip away. See, you're always learning new things as you go. And this too, but it's curved. It's got a bevel in it. So use that. And it's too wide. So we'll pull that out. And now remember, we can't go far on this one. So bring that down to the point. I'm actually pinching it down in the point. Try to still stay in the camera. That looks good enough. So I'll hold that. And like I said, you can clip this if you wanted, you know, because when you're wrestling with a big quilt, you might have to clip it and then put a clip here as well. So, but this is so small. And let me line it up, put this in the back, and then the clip is kind of in the way, but okay. Needle down and one forward, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm clear. If as long as I go past this, I think I'm far enough. Okay. I think that's good enough. So I'm going to go back 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay. Okay, so I'm actually showing the join again because I didn't really like the way I presented it in the original video. So this is the back. So I wrote down back because the back and the front are the same on this swatch. But this is the back, and I sewed it to the back. I sewed the binding to the back. And these are my leftovers, okay, my overlaps, so to speak. And you can see that I started stitching, way down here. I barely, I usually like to start, this is 1 1/4 inches. I like to start at least a little farther up from where the binding would, be in this manner. But this is okay. And so that's where I started, and then I ended, you can see here, right after where the binding, ends there. And that gives me about 10 inches between my start and my end when I measure it on my table here. Yeah, it's showing it like 10.5 on this ruler on my table. So that means like the center between these two is, let me see if I could get the lighting better. The center between these two is like about 5 inches. So if I take my fingers again and I look to see where 5 inches is, it would be about here. And you say to yourself, okay, that's my center between my start and my end. And if you're going to do it in the method where we just cut this bottom one off and then measure this one 2.5 inches from where we cut the bottom, I don't really feel as though this is enough distance for me to work with on this bottom piece, because this is going to be the bottom piece. This was, the top. But when I go to join them, this becomes the top, And this is the piece that you have to like drag over and, open it up and draw your lines on. You want this piece to be long. So my center at 5 inches, it's just not enough for me to work with. So since I want this to be the longer piece, not this one, I'm going to take my center and maybe cut it like 1.5 inches up farther, just to give me more room. I could go even a little farther, but that's kind of where I'm going to cut it. And so you can go ahead and, fold it there and just finger press it if you want and cut it, or you can use your ruler and try to be more exact. So I'll just do it this way, and I'll just cut straight across on that line, crease. Okay, and so then that's kind of my bottom piece, and I'm going to just pull it a little bit, not stretching it, but I want to make sure there's no slack in it, and I'm actually going to pin it, with maybe one of my strong pins. I don't have to go all the way through the batting. It's just for measuring this piece now. So then take this piece, and you can see where this one ends, and you can actually, just to be sure, you could take another pin. I'll turn it this way, and you can make it stick out on this side here, and you could put the pin like right at that ending and kind of make sure it's straight. And then I'll just go back this way again. It's not straight, but you kind of get the idea. It's got to be straight. And then you can use that pin as your guide to where you're going to take this one and again give it a little bit of a pull, you know, and you can pin it or clip it or whatever. I'll put a clip in. And from this pin, which is where the bottom one ended, you measure 2.5 inches, draw a line, and then cut that. And we're actually, and this is the trick, we're going to go a little less than 2.5 inches because we don't want any slack when we finally stitch in the final step. You know, after they're attached and then you stitch this line, you don't want any rippling or pleats or anything like that. So we're going to measure from here, not 2.5 inches, but we're going to go 1/8 inch less than 2.5. So 2.5 inches would be 2 4/8. So 1/8 less would be 2 3/8. So that's what we're going to measure from the pin. So then I'll go at, you have to turn these so many different ways. We'll go at 2.5 is there, so I'll go 2 3/8. But again, I want to flip it so that the 2 3/8 right here is on the pin so that I could draw my line. And then of course that other pin is in my way. Figures. So I'll use my skinny little glass head pin, or you can use your really long flat pins like these with the flat. They maybe won't get in your way as much. So, okay. So the 2 3/8 there, we're going to put on this pin because that's the end of our one we cut. So I've got to kind of bring it down, and I'm making sure, let me zoom in now. I'm making sure that this edge is lined up kind of down here with this raw edge, but even more so like up here as well, you know, on this edge. You just want to make sure it's flush and lined up correctly. There's my 2 3/8, and I'll draw my line, and then I'll go ahead and cut that. And I'll probably cut off most of the ink anyways, you know, so you can kind of see it while you're cutting. I hope I'm still in view because I know I'm zoomed in now. And then you can take the pins, all the pins out. Do that. Okay. And so now I'm going to use my small glass head pins. They're real tiny and they're real thin for this step. So now you go ahead and I'm going to zoom back out. You go ahead and you can use your presser foot if you know you have a big bulky quilt, or you could take it somewhere else, but I'm going to use my presser foot to hold it down. Maybe I'll move it over a little bit. Okay, so you'll take the top piece. You see you've got 2.5 inches there, and then that one you just open up and just lay down. You know, it's going to be just flat. But this piece, the bottom piece, you'll open up and you just kind of bring it over. Okay. And that's where a lot of people will like clip it over here so that it, doesn't fall, give you a lot of problems. And so this one then is going to go like this. And we're going to draw a diagonal to stitch on. You'll be lining everything up, which I'll do that in a minute after I draw the line. But it'll be like this, and the line that you draw goes from this corner to this corner, not this inside corner to this corner. So if you're ever drawing a line from this inside corner, you're doing it wrong. So it's this one. So knowing that it's this one that we're going to draw, I'm just going to take my black lock and I'm going to put it so that this diagonal is lined up with this edge. Okay? And you want to make sure that it's the diagonal, that the part that's going to lock in. Okay, if I lock it into that, I gotta press down for it to lock. Okay, when I slide it down, this point matches up with the corner of the fabric, not this point. So you gotta make sure you have this, adjusted right. I'm a lefty, so this is convenient for me. Righties might have a harder time with this, but and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll now that I know that's where my line is, I'll just kind of take this bottom piece and get it out of the way so that I can, now I know which way my black leg's going, and now I can get it in there and slide it and lock it in, the corners matching, and then draw my line. Now, if you don't have a black lock, you can do the same thing with any square ruler that has a diagonal line, and you just line up that diagonal line with the corner, just like that. The points are meeting, and then down here on this one, it has another little square thingy that you can make sure that point down there. Let's zoom in. Oh, darn it, I have to move up. Okay, let's try that again. That's why the black locks are so easy. But you make sure that this point is on this corner and this point is on that corner, and the diagonal line is lined up with the edge of your strip here. So we'll go back to the black lock. So for me, for a lefty, my black lock symbol is on the right side when I do that. Sometimes I forget, I get all turned around. So I'm sliding it down, keeping it pushed, to the left. And I'm going to zoom back out again. And I'll draw my line. Now, this shouldn't be drawn with a friction pen. I'm just doing it so you could see the line, because we're stitching on this line. So this is going to stay, and friction pens come back when it gets real cold. So you really want to use chalk. I don't even use the blue wash away because I'm going to iron this at some point, and I might set that blue ink in. I don't even use the purple Mark Be Gone. I have them all, but I don't use them. I'll use chalk. And what if this is really, really light fabric? I never use white fabric for a binding, so I'll be able to see my chalk. And the chalk line I use is the Clover. This one, I got to get a new one because this isn't actually yellow. I never use yellow. I emptied all the yellow out, I cleaned it out real good inside, and I put in white chalk. But, so that's what I would use, the one that has this. And they're such a pain because, or at least this one is, because when you draw, this has to be facing, I have it so that, you know, I face this mark here. I face that so that it's, this and this are kind of like, I don't know what you call it, parallel. So this is facing up and this is facing up. That helps me know which way I have to draw. Because if I turn it and this is facing down, it doesn't, the wheel doesn't spin. I don't know if it's just that it's old or what, but I probably need a new one. So anyways, so there's the line, it's drawn. And so I'll bring this one back. And so you just match them up. They're right sides together. And this part is kind of the hardest part because you got to really get this outside corner here first. And I just kind of put my finger there to pivot. And then I line up this. And then that one usually at the top there kind of falls into place. But what I usually do is I spread my fingers and I'll take my skinny little pins and I'll just put one in like, I went off. Let me do it again. So I'll pivot that there, and what you can do is before you even go, you could put a pin there and not put it in all the way to help you pivot. In other words, you can line up this corner. I can't see or anything. And you can just stick a pin like close to that corner like that. And then that's your pivot. And you can just kind of hold the pin and then pivot there and there. And then spread your fingers and then just put another one, you know, hold your fingers kind of stretching the fabric, not stretching it, but keeping it taut, and then just slide this one in, but don't come out yet. Just leave it in, just like you did this one. And then you can maybe come and put another pin like this. I put them parallel to the line, the pin, but enough distance away so my presser foot doesn't hit them. And then usually once this one is in, you can come and put this one, finish it. And then of course you can put more up here. So I'm really adjusting it now. I don't know, I might be too close there. And you can even put one at the bottom. Again, I'm probably too close. Okay. And so then when you stitch this, oh, I have to switch my foot, sorry. So I use my regular centering foot that comes with, this is a satin foot, but I don't know, I'm used to it for everything. But it has a little triangle. And whenever I do a seam like this, I always, you know, something that has to be pulled taut or folded or whatever, I always line up whatever line I drew on the fabric, I line it up with the left side of my triangle, not the center. And I'll show you what I mean because I'll zoom in. I have to start a little bit on the line if I want to make a back stitch here. And normally they say with this kind of stuff you don't have to make a back stitch. But I don't want to start at the end, at the very point, because I don't want this to get all bunched up either. So I'm going to start 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm going to do like, take 1 stitch forward, 2 stitches back, and then just stitch. I'm still going to line up the red line with the left side of the triangle, but I'm going to tuck this corner in just under the back, just under the foot, under this back part of the foot. So let me take this out. So I've got it kind of tucked in back there. Okay. And I'm on the left side of my triangle. It's lined up with the line. So I'm going to do needle down. And I'm going to actually go 2 stitches forward. So I'm going to hold my thread just because I'm used to it. And so I'll go 1, 2, and then I'm going to back up 2. 1, 2. I'm not going to go 3 because I might come off the fabric. So, and now I'll just keep going with this, watching that this line is on the left side of the triangle. That's the only thing I'm watching. And then when I come down here, I still want to make sure that I stitch off right at the point. And you may notice that my line is slightly left of the point. That was the other thing. You start getting used to it, like, okay, well, we're going to make the line just a hair to the left of the point when we do our pinning. So let's see if I can do this. So normally I got my head down there, and I'm, you know, because I'm old, you know, can't see. So as I come down, I'm still to the left of the line, and I'm not going to go that extra stitch because it might take me to this edge and I might bunch up the edge, because it looks like I have 1 more stitch and then I'll be on the edge, and that's when you get an ugly edge. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to backspace 2, 1, 2, and then just stitch off the fabric. So my tie is like 1 stitch in, but at least it's a tie, you know, and I should be good, especially when most people don't even back stitch on here, but I think you should. So I'll cut that, and go ahead, and there's our perfect seam. And before you cut this triangle off, you know, you do have to check it, because who knows, you might have stitched this line from the inner. So you'll go and you'll open it up now. Let's zoom out. And you'll check it, and that looks good. It's got a slight pull. Remember, we took off 1/8 of an inch, so when we cut 2 3/8, just so that we have a slight pull. And don't stretch it too much when you're testing it, because then you end up stretching it again. So we'll just go ahead, and I'll do it from this side so you can still see my red line. And I'm just going to guesstimate 3/8, because like I said, I always go 3/8 when I cut these. It's probably not. Now it looks like I cut it shorter than that. Yeah, I did. Like I said, usually my head is down in there. And with this join, there's nothing to cut off the sides, because you've matched it up. Like, there was no overlap when you matched it up. You really matched it up. So my threads here are not cut. You can use snips. And so then this will be opened up. And a lot of people, they just finger press it here. But I'm so OCD, I finger press it and then I also take it to the iron. So you still want to keep it so you don't have slack. I mean, so you have some slack so you don't stretch it. And of course my iron is turned off. But so you press it. I might have to cradle the camera. Let's see. And my iron is the Rowenta that, you know, spits, so I don't use water, and now I'm glad I don't anymore. I just use starch and spritz water when I need it. So I never worry about burning my fabric. And then when you pull it, you know, it's perfect. Just by taking off that 1/8 of an inch, and then you can give it another press here. And this is where you really don't want to go back and forth with the iron. You know, just hold it down and you should be good. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they clip it just to make sure. So I'll press it down, I'll clip it in the center. I have the Red Wonder clips too at my other table. You know, you may want to clip it, or if you have ripples, then you have to pin, and you have to put tons of pins to take up the ripple or the pleats or whatever that might form. But I don't have that problem, so I'm just going to put some clips just to make sure, especially a clip there. Now you can see that there looks slightly like I pushed the point up, you know, but it should be fine. And then you'll switch to your, I will switch to my 1/4 inch foot. And then I won't start here, even when where the knot is. I'll start a 1/4 inch back. I'll do 1 stitch forward and 2 or 3 stitches back. But I'm going to dial down just to make sure I'm exactly on line with the previous stitches. And let me see if I zoom in, if it'll be too much. I think it should be good. So I'll go 1 stitch forward. Whoops, needle down. Well, I'll go 1 stitch forward. And then I'll go 2 back. Whoops. And then let me make sure that's good. And then I'll hold my fingers on here just to make sure there's not going to be any puckers, because this is cheaper fabric that I'm using. This is the Waverly fabric from Walmart, and I've noticed that even when you starch it, it gets wavy here, you know. So I'm going to make sure I go like that if I have to, or keep my clips on, you know, until I get right up to them. So I'll just use my fingers. See how it's already getting wavy? That's because of this oh, maybe that's why they call it Waverly. Now over here it's really Waverly. And this is, like I said, where you can use pins. I would use my skinny, real skinny pins, and I would pin this. If this Waverly is going to be Waverly, I'd pin it just to take up those waves that I'm going to encounter. Let me do that. I'm glad that's happening, because then I could show you. So I don't have to go all the way through, I'm just kind of going into the batting, but your needles can't stick out. That should be good for there. I don't have this problem with Moda fabric, so, but you may need to do this, and especially if you stitched it, or if you cut it too long, you still have to do this. And sometimes you got to do it, you got to put them really close together because the pins take up the ripple, the waves. Pull that one out of here. So I should be good now. And you can see I have to lift up there because I saw that little part of the triangle or part of this V or whatever. And I'm stitching over these, but you're not supposed to. Mine are so thin that I have to admit sometimes I do, but I really should be taking them out. So let me be more responsible. So I should take that one out. Oops, I see I stitched over a pin. Okay, so here I'm going to make sure I come right in line. I'm going to over track and then go back 2 and then forward 2 or 3 or 4. Okay, and so there you go. And there was my beginning there, right there. And then I usually press it, I'll finger press it, but I'll go around with the iron. Now this is harder because of course it's, so small, and you want to get in the corners. I'm lifting the iron a little just to get this side flat. Okay, and then I'll go into this side. And then I'll put the point in there, in the corners. And now I can come around to this side, since this is so small. And like I said, this is starched, so I'm trying to get my sides. They're not as easy. Okay, and then just take your corners and push them in with your thumb and pull that out. So pull on the binding, and this should all be trimmed up. Sometimes I serge my edge of my binding, but yeah, I have to cut the serger or turn off the blade on the serger. So, and then you could also do it this way where you're just pulling and pushing down. And then when you go to start clipping this, you want to start from right to left. And I like to use these hair clips instead of the Wonder Clips, because the Wonder Clips, both the red ones and any other one, when you pull it over, I don't know if you can see. Well, let me just show you. The Wonder Clip doesn't go all the way, and so this fold right here that was ironed actually even sticks up more. You know, some people don't even iron all the way, iron their binding, because of this turnover is always a pain, you know, because this folded edge isn't correct anymore. So because of that, I've been liking using these because they cover the whole thing. But you'll start on the right side of your quilt and move left, so that when you get to your corner here, you'll put a clip close to the corner, okay? And then press that, so, you know, finger press it or whatever you have to do. You can even press it with the iron if you wanted, but you want that 45, and then when you bring that over, you'll want to put a temporary clip on the other corner and then come back to this. And so if I can zoom in on this a little bit, you can see how this corner is not meeting up, okay? So that means that when you go to pin it, because each corner gets a pin, you take the pin and you stick it in that fold there, this little fold right here, and you kind of bring it over. And when you bring it over, you can get everything to match up perfectly. And you kind of want it to be not so perfect, because when you go to pin it now, you go in and then you go straight. You bring the pin down and go straight into the batting and all the way to the corner. And it almost, yeah, it looks like I didn't get it because I can't see what I'm doing. Try it again. So if it's too far and you need to pull it in, that's okay, because when you pin it, you can pull it where it needs to go and then kind of go like that. And so you do that all the way around. So I'm going to just go quick. Famous last words. Flatten that. Finger press that. Bring it over. Clip this kind of close. Okay. Bring this around. Grab my pin. And it almost looks like it's right on. So let me put it in the fold and bring it. I can't see if it's on or not. Yeah, that one you could see the corner is kind of, yeah, that corner is still up too far now that I have light. So use your pin. And then stab down and then straight in. This is like an optical illusion because there's a white thing there. So I'm just going to let that go. Yeah, because I got 2 more corners to do. Okay, that one's really up there. I can definitely see that one. So I'll take this in, bring it down. I brought it down too much. Bring it back. Okay. Okay, and same thing with this one. It's really far in. So stick it in the fold. I kind of have the needle or the pin all the way down into that corner. I can't see what I'm doing. Come on. Okay. Now why I took it out, I don't know. This one is not that great. Good enough. Okay. You don't want to start close to the corner because your corners are going to be like sticking up too much. You know, they're like sticking up. So start at least 6 or 7 inches away from the corner. And so for the blanket stitch, I use a zipper foot. So take this off, and this is a Janome, and the Janomes work really well with the antique white sewing machine feet. So that's where this zipper foot is from. And normally they have like a green thing on them. I have 2 of these. And there's a green dial here, and then there's one here. This is probably for like a seam guide. And the reason I like these white ones from white sewing machines is because this is flat here. It's not a triangle. You know, this whole foot is a rectangle, and it's great for, you know, just riding along something, and it's adjustable. So this one is specifically for binding. So this one's for other things. And so I'll go ahead. So with these, of course, you can screw this in a little bit and then put it on. And I have the screw tightened in the back on this, you know, the adjustable screw in the back. I have it tightened with like needle nose pliers so that it never comes loose, because I have it right where I want. And you want it so that the needle, when you put it down, the needle is kind of on the edge, it looks like, but it looks like I have it slightly to the right. Let's go up here. I'll go right here. So, and this is sticking up, but you can use a purple thing, or, you know, a stir stick, or anything you got to help you. I'll go ahead and I'm just going to pull up the blanket stitch. For on my machine, it's stitch number 70, and it's in mode 2. If I zoom in, mode 2, and it's stitch number 70, this one here. And it's the only one that is not doubled up. Like these thick ones are doubled up. Now 69 I can use for applique, but it's still doubled up. And 70 takes 3 stitches and then swing, 3 stitches, swing. This one takes 1 stitch, but it's a triple stitch. Forward, back, forward, swing. Forward, back, forward, swing. So it's 1 triple stitch in between each swing over. There is no blanket stitch on this machine. That is just a single forward over, single forward over. I don't know why they call it a quilter's edition. But for binding, this is perfect. I wanted to stitch 3 stitches. So, and I'll show you, I have it saved. So we'll go over here. And here's how you pull it up. You have to be in mode 2 to pull things up, or mode 3. You can't be in mode 1. So I'll pull it up here with this button, and it's in slot number 1. That's it. I've already got it saved, and to bring it out, I hit TOM. And these are my settings. My swing over, my stitch width is 3.0, and my stitch length is 1.5. Oh, I thought it was 1.8. What was I thinking about? I don't know. So if there's 3 stitches that are 1.5, that means 1.5 3 times is 4.5. So 4.5 millimeters between each, grab this one, 4.5 millimeters between each stitch. So this distance right here is 4.5 mils, which is less than a quarter. A quarter is about 6 mils. So, and there you go. And this one, when you look at it on this screen, if it's pointing up, that means it's going to swing over to the right. So I think of the word upright. Okay, I don't know why they don't have them vertical. Like they, you know, up in this thing, they're vertical the way you see them on the machine. But once you get down here, I don't know. So anyways, I'm going to take the top thread and put it under the foot then and to the left. Okay. And then the bobbin thread will just be off to the side. And the reason I like using the zipper foot is because I don't want something smashing my binding down and probably, you know, puckering, or, you know, if you're pressure foot pressure, if you can't get it loose enough and everything. It's just, to me, I don't know. I know this is dangerous, but if you use a purple thing, if you're right-handed, you could use it like this and press down. But once you get your first stitch, it's down anyways. See, my first stitch would have been down. Now the first 3 are straight, and I have to increase my pressure or my tension from 4 to 5 because I want it to be tighter. And I'm going to unclip this one, and I'm going to keep my fingers here far enough away. This finger is pushing the binding in. This finger is on top of the binding, and this one is just there. And normally I'm holding the quilt like this. I've got it bunched up like that, but I'm farther back with my hand. So, but I'm just going to do a needle down, and I'm just going to hold the bobbin thread just because I'm used to. I'm not going to dial down to make sure I get past this fold. And now I'm past the fold. I'll hold the bobbin thread because this is already held, and I'll do a needle down. And now, so my first stitch, I'm just going to have these 2 fingers on the bobbin thread, and I'm going to let it do its locking stitch. So it does a good locking stitch. Okay, so I think it went forward twice. It locked, and then it went forward either once or twice. I'm not sure. 2. There it swung. Okay, so now it just goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I have my fingers down here. 1, 2, 3, swing. And I'm pushing this with this ring finger. 1, 2, 3, swing. 1, 2, 3, swing. I shouldn't have waited that long to take this clip out. Okay, so that clip is out. Let me move this one over. And every time I take a clip out, I massage this and this to make sure it's straight. And now I'll go 1, 2, 3, swing. 1, 2, 3, swing. 1, 2, 3, swing. So I usually like to stop after it swings back. So now this is probably going to have to come out. And you can take another clip and put it in with the flat side up, and then take this out and maybe go, I don't know, one more stitch. And you can kind of take the whole thing out and readjust and make sure everything is perfect. Like that kind of looks like my 45 needed to be pushed in a little bit. So you can use your purple thing to do that, or, you know, a needle or your tweezers. Yeah, I feel like it needs to go in more. This fabric is sort of an optical illusion because I can't tell where that's at. So I'm actually holding it with my finger, but I should probably clip it. Okay. So now I definitely don't want to get my fingers that close. I'm going to push this up, and hopefully you can still see what's going on. And we'll go 1, 2, 3. Okay. And make sure this foot goes over this piece of binding. I'm going to hold this up, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, over. So now it's over pretty close. I can take this off and I can pretty much see what's going on here, and just have my finger here or a purple thing there, or something even stronger like the stir stick, you know. I almost like this better because it's more flexible. And so I have it there. And so I'm going to move this a little because I don't want to go on the bind. 1, 2, 3, and it swings. Now I have a choice. I don't know if you can see this, but I have a little bit of, let me see if I can show. Oops, I did a needle up. Okay, since I did a needle up, it's going to come down. So let me put it back in. I hit the needle up with my, it's going to travel. So I want to make sure it travels all the way to this binding, but not touching it. And then I'll do a needle down. So that's my first stitch. I'm going to have to back stitch on my next one because I do want to put another swing over. You can kind of see this right here. I want another swing over there. So I'm going to back stitch manually. So to back stitch manually, I have to do a needle up and then pull the fabric, and then I'll dial down. I have to keep bringing it forward because, you know, as it comes forward for the stitch. Oh, well, no. That's stitch number 2, and then stitch number 3, I'm going to dial down stitch number 3, and now it'll swing over. And I'm just going to let it swing over. I thought it was. It didn't. Okay, maybe the swing over is here. So I made a mistake. How did I miscount? So that's going to have to be the swing over for this one. So, oh yeah, now it's swinging over. Darn it. I don't want that to look like that there. So I'm going to move this over so that it penetrates as if it's for this swing over. I'm kind of cheating. So I messed up. Hopefully my next one will be better. Down. So pull that clip out, massage this, and now we're gonna go forward 3 and swing over, but I wanted to swing over next to the one that swung over by mistake. So I'm gonna stitch forward once, and I'm gonna manually stitch back, dial down, and then stitch forward, and then see if it swings over. Finally. Okay. I am so sorry. All right. So that corner's done, and I totally messed it up. So let's continue. So 1, 2, 3, swing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll take this out and massage everything and keep going. Okay, so I'm going to hit this pin. So I'm going to have a clip ready. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to look at this, see if I like it. I could clip it or not. I could just use my fingers, but I'm going to be safe. I'll grab this purple thing and put it over here, and we'll keep going. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I kind of held it because I wanted to swing over again now right in the corner, and I think we're going to be good. So I'm going to just take this out because it's pretty much down where it's supposed to be. I'll use the purple thing, and we'll go ahead. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to pivot, but I can see that my needle is not right along the edge. So I'm going to do a needle up and move it to where I want it to be. I know it's going to travel forward. Okay, so now it's right in the corner, and I'll do needle down. That's stitch number 1. Take this out, massage everything. So I got 2 more stitches, but I want this to be in the corner. So I'm going to stitch once, and then I'm going to manually back stitch back to the corner. I'm dialing down, and now I'll do a needle down. Now it'll swing over. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So notice I'm not even holding this anymore, but I can get up closer, but I'm trying to be responsible. And you can do this, but remember, this hand is always holding the quilt, so this hand is just kind of like right here. Maybe I should have it straighter instead of off like this, so that it does its job. And this finger is holding the binding where it's supposed to be. So I should take this clip out. I got like 2 inches. That's plenty. Massage that. And I'll, pretend like I'm doing a real quilt. Okay, I kind of went too close. Pull that out. Make sure I like that corner. I'm just going to leave my finger there or purple thing and go for it. This is out of the way. So now I could see I have about a 1/2 inch before I get to this, you know, little vertex there. I'm going to have to finagle this to get 2 more swing overs. So 1, 2, 3. I mean, I do kind of want another one in there, so I'll let it swing back. I'm going to let it come forward manually because I don't know where it's going to go. And I'm going to dial it down. That's 1. And then up. Bring it back. Move it over a little. It's going to hit the binding. That's 2. And then 3, I'll let come right into that corner. I kind of don't want it that close. Okay, there. And now it's going to swing over. I can smash it down a little. Doesn't really need it, so I'm going to manually up, down. And so now I'll pivot. And, oh, I'm perfect. So I don't even have to finagle this one. But I still have to do a back stitch because I want that next stitch to go up into the, you know, into that vertex or what have you. So I'll go 1, and then I'm going to manually back stitch, dial down 2, and then I'll just let it go 3 and swing over. 1, 2, 3, swing. Okay, take this out. I forgot to massage it, but it looks fine. Okay, take this out, and that corner looks good. I'm just gonna go for it. Actually, I don't really like it. I think I want to pull it in a little. It's too hard to pull it with that. Yeah, I'm not really liking it. I can't really get it. Let me use my seam ripper. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna just 1, 2, 3. Okay, I wonder if I can make it. So I don't have to do any back stitching. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Good enough. I'm going to let that go. Okay, so now when I pivot, I'm really far away. So I'm taking it all back. I kind of want to do the old back stitch trick. So I'm going to manually go forward, dial down, 1, up, go back, needle down, up, dial forward, so I'm really into that corner. Okay. Down and swing. Yeah. I just wanted that. And now I'm right where I need to be, so that's good. So now this last one, we don't want any puckers here. So we want to make sure that, you know, it's either pinned good, but we want to remove the pins before we get to them because we want everything to be smooth. So I'm going to do the back stitch here. So 1 manually back, 2, 3 swing. I just like it that when I pivot, I like that first stitch to be really close in, just like I've been doing with that other one. So 1, 2, 3. I'm kind of pushing the fabric so I don't have any puckers. Now this is my join here. So this is always a funky area. Okay. Okay. So it looks pretty good. My joins are always wider for some reason. And what's nice about the blanket stitch is that if you have puckers, because you're less than 1/4 inch apart, you can work in any fullness. You know, it's really nice. So now I've got, this is my last stitch here. I can kind of put a pin there because this is hard to see. I was going to use thread that was easy to see, so sorry about that. Wasn't thinking. So it looks like I can get 2 more stitches, swing overs. Oh, maybe not. No. So that's a big gap there. So I'm going to do one of the back stitches. 1, 2. Oh, I should have did the back stitch there. So I kind of messed up. I should have done the back stitch when I first started, after my first stitch. So I'm kind of stitching in the same spot, which is not good. And then a swing over, and then back space button, and then hit the foot pedal to tie it off. Okay, and then I bury the threads. So I have it nice and long. So then I'm just going to go ahead and bury these. So I'll just take my, the snag it needle. It has that slot in the top. They call it a snag it. Now these two, where they began and ended, let me see, where's the camera? There. They almost began and end in the same spot, so I can snag them both at the same time, but I'm going to just stick my needle. I'm going to just stick it in a spot that looks like it's already been penetrated, because there's a lot going on there. Once it's in, I can, and I hope I'm in the camera, snag them both, and then push it down, and then you'll get a loop. I can pull a little more off, and I'm going to use the presser foot to hold it down. And, well, I guess I'll have to go up farther so you could see it. So I'll just take 2 fingers, and I'm a lefty, so and put them like this so that my hand is away from me. Grab it. Since they're long enough, I can bring it around and then take the thread and put it in between these 2 fingers, and then let go of this thread, take the loop, and squeeze my fingers to pull that thread out. It's just a quick way to do it if the threads are long enough. And then you'll go like an 1/8 of an inch away. Stick your needle just an 1/8 of an inch away, and then pull down, and then pull the needle out, and you should have a knot that's an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/4 inch. Sometimes I go really long, like a 1/4, but then I have to see where I'm going to go in. So let's see. Get in the camera. First, let me see where I'm going to go in. I want to go in halfway between those two threads. And then, but you don't want to, oh, I messed it up. Okay, but you don't want to go to the other side. Just feed it through the batting and check it. You could see I went through. I hope that's enough. Oh, I'm still going through. Okay, let me try this again. I can't see. Okay, so I'm going to try and feed it a little bit farther away. Okay. I think I see a piece of the needle, but I think I'm okay. And then once it's in, like that, I'll slide it. I always slide it after it's in, because then everything gets all tangled. And then once it's in, you push it. Let me see. You push it to get the loop, and then you can pull it more, so you have some slack. And sometimes I snap it with it while it's still doubled up. There, I heard it snap. I feel like it's just stronger, although this thread is strong. So then with that, stick my needle in there. You don't close your clippers. You keep them open, but you put them closed and just move the thread to the cutter. And then just go like that. This is probably too thick of a cutter. I should probably use scissors that are flush, but at least I know I'm not cutting any other threads. So then this one, you can see there's that gap. It's a more defined, let me see if I can get it in the camera. See how there's a defined gap? I'll stick the needle in between that gap. So, and I'll try to make, when I make my knot, I'll show you. Let me lift this up. Okay, so I'm going to put I like it when my threads are the same length, because then I don't get confused. So I put my fingers away, come around, put the thread in, squeeze my 2 fingers, take this loop, pull it away, take my needle, and I'm going to put it centered between the two, but like a 1/4 or an 1/8 of an inch away, somewhere between a 1/4 and an 1/8. And then take the needle out. And you can see there's my knot. Let's see if I can be able to see it. And so I'm going to stick the pin in between those 2 threads. So that's where I'm sticking it. Trying not to go in a needle hole that was already done, and I'm going to try to direction it towards a spot where I can actually get the needle through, you know. That's good. Nothing is showing. Can't see what I'm doing. I'll just snag them one at a time. Okay, so it's snagged. And then I push it in to get the loop, pull some out. Oh, I don't know if it's like upside down. And then I'll pull it, and then I'll snap it while it's doubled up. I heard it snap. And pull the rest of it out. Did it snap? I see a loop there. I don't think it snapped. So now I'm going to go like this. There, now it went in. Okay. So that's all snagged in. And again, I'll just take these and push the thread into it without cutting it. And there you go. And so that's my knot and berry area, and you can't even tell like what's going on there. It looks fine. To do the corners, you'll want to grab thread for each one. I keep getting shorter because I'm wasting thread. Okay. So I threaded it. I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to face it with the needle and pinch them both. And then wrap this 4 times. Pinch it, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring it down and pinch, pull it while I'm pinching and pulling. And grab my fingernail there. Now that one, it's kind of long. I think it's still good. Okay. So we're gonna come up, it's our last one, and we're gonna slide in here. And I'm going to go more than halfway on this line. I'm going to go maybe 2/3 of the way. I don't want to go all the way up because then it never looks good. Like maybe 2/3 of the way. And I'm going to try to get 3 stitches in here. So I'm going to slide up, and I want to be on this lower piece. I'm going to hold my finger on it because I don't pull this lower piece out, because you could pull this lower piece out. So you may want to even, clip that if it helps, just to, so you don't lose your track of where you need to come up. So I'll slide in there, and I'm going to try and come up. That's about 2/3 of the way up. Right there. And I want that knot to go all the way up there. Okay, it did slide up in there. I can leave that clip on so that I have my bearings on this line. Now I could whip stitch this, in which case I'd have to come through the top and then do my whipping. Or I could do a ladder stitch. The ladder stitch is hard. The whip stitch, I could probably get more stitches in, but I'm going to just go with the ladder stitch, and I'm just basically going to, I'm going to pinch it like here so that this, I can get into that fold. That fold is always hard to get into. So I'm going to just go like a 1/16 away in the fold. Okay, so that's my first stitch. I want to keep that line nice and straight, so I'll pull this way. And then I'll go in the lower piece and up 1/8 of an inch away, still in the lower. And if you're good, you could do them both at the same time, you could come up into the lower and go into that, but I'm not that good. And then go into the lower, into the fold of the upper, and then right into the vertex, or the inner there. Now, actually, I'm not penetrating it. I want to actually penetrate that. I don't just want to be in the fold. So right there, I want to make sure it penetrated it. And then I go right straight into the vertex. I keep calling it a vertex. The inner angle. And you can see that that is not meeting. So this one is not that good. I kind of screwed that up. When I was holding it, I probably could have adjusted it better. Or I might have screwed it up from the very beginning. So I'm going to go 1/4 inch away. So I went into this little vertex point. Make sure it doesn't show on the back. Just go 1/4 inch away into the batting. Come out. Turn it around and do a back stitch just in the top in the batting and make it really small. Okay. So it's like I'm doing a back stitch. And then I'll do another back stitch right to the backing. And then grab my fingers, pull it around, put the needle through, and then I have a loop, put the needle through that loop and 1/8 of an inch away from where the thread came out, and pull it so that that loop goes down tight around the needle, and then release the needle and pull. There's a knot there. And now I'll go in, not in the same hole it came out of, but very close, and go right through the batting only. Make sure it doesn't show on the back. And then just pull it, and did it snap? Yeah, I guess it did. So there's all my corners. And I can do the victory lap now just to make sure it's tight. So to do that, I've been using my bi-level foot. Now the bi-level foot, they say it's for a Janome, but honestly it gets so close to the foot that I don't think it's for Janome. Janome and brother don't really go together. So if something is made for a brother, it's really not made for a Janome. So I have a Janome, I have a brother adapter that I use, and it just looks like the brothers, and I have 2 adapters like this. You know, they look like the brother adapters with that rectangle on the front. I have another one that just has a hook coming out, because that one, the one with the hook coming out, is the one I use with the 1/4 inch foot with the blade on the side, because this foot doesn't work with that. This one hits the 1/4 inch. But this is the bi-level foot, and it's a left bi-level foot. This left side hangs down lower, and it's got a groove on the left side. And you push that groove, it just locks in on the binding. It just locks right in. And then I figured out where I want my needle to land, and I just adjusted, you know, my stitch width on my straight stitch to be 2 millimeters from center on my machine. I just don't want it to hit the blanket stitch, so it's like 1/8 of an inch away from the swing over. So I'll put the brother adapter on, and I think it still lands in the same spot with the brother adapter, because I think I tried it once with my regular Janome adapter. And to put it on, it's easier to put it on when it's on something that's a bi-level, because, you know, then it's level. So I'll put it on and snap it down. And so I am wasting a lot of thread here. Okay, so I am going to start, this side has the connection on it. Sometimes I don't like to start on that side. I'll just start on this side, and I'll start kind of far away from the corner. I don't want to start in a corner, but I'm a few inches away. And so on my machine, then that's just, I'll go out of this. I just hit alphabet to get out of it, and then I hit mode 1. Oh, I actually have this stitch saved, but you just take your stitch width and you move it. And that's what I use. 2.5 on the, or 2 on the stitch width and 2.5 on the stitch length. But I do have it saved, and I think because you can save this when you're in mode 2. If you go to mode 2, the same stitch, and then save it, it does a locking stitch, I believe. So I'll pull it up in my memory here. So it's not in slot 1. It's not 2. I think it's in slot 3. So TOM brings it out. Yeah. So there it is. It's 2 on the stitch width, and I believe it, like I said, it makes a locking stitch. So I'm going to zoom in, and let me see where it's landing. Oh, it's landing too close to my blanket stitch. So with this foot, with this brother adapter on my other foot, it didn't land that close. So I'm going to change my stitch width. So let me zoom back out. I'm going to actually take this, my edit is highlighted so I can edit it. If it wasn't highlighted, I would just hit edit, but I'm going to increase that to 3, and then I'm going to see where that lands. Okay, it's about, I know you can't see this, but it's about 1/8 of an inch away. So it's at 3.0, which is right in the center on this foot, but since nothing goes together. So I'm going to save this at 3.0 if I'm going to use it with the brother adapter. So to save it now with this new setting, I have to hit this and get to the slot where I want to save it, which is there, and then hit M. So now it's resaved with that. The way this machine works when you have something saved in one of these 5 slots up here. When you have it saved, it depends on the stitch that you're saving. It'll do a back stitch at the beginning and the end on most of the stitches, but on this stitch, just the regular straight stitch, it only will do your locking stitch, back stitch, the one I like, the one that kind of goes forward and back but real tiny. It only does it at the end. And if you try to program in, say, this stitch here, you could be in mode 2, and you could program in this stitch, which has a back stitch, you know, at the beginning and end. If you try to program that in to one of these slots, it doesn't let you. And I'm kind of glad, because I don't really want 3 back stitches, you know, 3 forward, 3 back, and then 3. I don't really want that for this. I want the back stitch that they use when you program. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, because when you program it, when you program something and you hit the back stitch button, it does that good locking stitch that I like, the tiny one. It doesn't stitch in place, it's just a good locking stitch. So I'm going to hit the back stitch button right away. Like, I'm going to take 1 stitch forward, and then I'm going to, or should I? No, I'm just going to hit the back stitch button right away so that it'll do a locking stitch. And then I'm going to start stitching forward, and then when I'm all done, I'll hit the back stitch again and it'll do the locking stitch. And I hope I remember that for future, because this machine just did things differently back then, you know. So I'll put my needle down. So let's see, did I start over? I'm going to hit M because I did some things off camera. So if you hit M at the bottom here, it starts it over if you've already been in the pattern. Okay. So I hit M, I'm starting over, I'm going to do a needle down, and then I'm locked in to this bi-level. This edge is right locked in on the edge here. So I'm going to hit the back stitch button right away, and it'll do a locking stitch. See how it kind of went back a little bit, but not much. And now I'm just going to stitch forward. Now when I get up here, I want to make sure that I'm in the right spot before I pivot, and I haven't quite perfected that spot. So I'm going to go slow. That might be it, but let's see if that's even right. Okay, so that's not enough anyways. You could see I'm not, this edge here is not butted up against, so that wasn't even right. So hopefully I'm straight still, and I'm slightly down. Let me lift this just a little bit, maybe on this side. So I'm going to go 1 more stitch. So now it is 1/8 of an inch in, and it looks like the edge here is level with this platform here, this, where this goes up, kind of, I don't know, but let's see. So that's it. So I'm right on. Okay. That's pretty good. And hopefully it's still locked in. Now you can see down here I veer in. I didn't have this pushed, so this is messed up. So I'm going to just try to keep it straight and ignore this. I'm not going to lock it into this because that's incorrect. I'll try to look here. So hopefully. That doesn't seem like I'm far enough forward. No, I gotta go like a half a stitch. So I'm gonna go needle up, needle down. That's a little too far. We're gonna go with it. That was right. Okay. Really got to pay attention to that because it's hard to lock into this since it's got the blanket stitch. It is locking in, but it is difficult. I think I have to go not there, there. So my needle is there. Now my needle is there. Now it's right, it's past this. So, yeah, I guess I have to go. There's no gauge for this. So that's a heavy eighth, a real heavy eighth. And this is past this ledge. Oh, well. I screwed up. Now, to meet up with that, yeah, it's not going to meet up. Oh, I wanted to put a pin. See, that's why leaving your thread there is good to leave there. I forgot. Because then you can pull the thread out and see where your beginning is. So I messed that up. Making a lot of mistakes. So where is this starting? Right here. Okay. So I'll back stitch there. Well, it's not bad. It's not bad. My overlap is not bad. So, but there is my overlap. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. It is about 1/8 of an inch away. But it almost seems too far away. I'm going to go back to the 2.5. So in that case, I'd have to hit edit and then 2.5. And then to save it, I'll go to slot 3 and hit M. And it's saved. So, yeah, I don't like I don't like that being so far away. Okay, so then these have to go to the back. So there it is. You can see the victory lap. And it's just way too far away because it came awfully close. And you can see the little blanket stitches. Because look, there's my victory lap. It almost hit the binding. So I screwed up by going 3.0 in stitch width. I mean, it's not on it. Now here it was farther away. Or was it? Yeah. So I don't know. Oh, wait, that's the blanket stitch. Yeah, that's the, but still it is farther away, the victory lap. Yeah, look at it here. Oh, did I go on the binding? Yep. See, I caught the binding there. So definitely 2.5. And who knows, maybe I should go 2.2 just to be sure. Looks like I went on the binding there. Here I didn't. I'm far enough away. But, like, because on my other one, yeah, my other one is so much better. It's so much better. And I know it's hard to see on that gray, but when the victory lap is closer, it looks so much better. All right, guys. Well, I did 3 of them. And I do like the victory lap. I really do like it. But it takes, it takes longer. It does take longer. But it does look good. And it's very secure. And you figure you put all that work into your quilt, you might as well make it pretty and secure. I do like coming up a little bit farther into the corners, maybe 2/3 of the way up, and trying to get 3 stitches in there. 3 ladder stitches. I'm going to have to make another video. That'll be my 4th video. Because I've already made 3. And I don't like any of them because they're too long. And I made too many mistakes. So, there you go. Okay, guys. I hope I helped you and didn't confuse the heck out of you. All right, then. I'll see you next time. Bye.